Galeon has cultivated a reputation for innovation and doing things differently, and this 560 Fly is its attempt to stay ahead of the competition. There are now other boats in this class that also have a pair of balconies hanging off the back. But has it succeeded? Well, in this video, I'm going to find out. I'm going to drive it, crew it, berth it, and see how long it takes to transform it into beach club mode. I'm Jack Haines, welcome to YachtBuyer. If you like to see boats sea trialed when they're reviewed, then make sure you subscribe to the YachtBuyer channel. We try to sea trial as many of the boats we test as possible, so subscribe now, hit the bell icon, and you'll never miss another one. Right, on with the test. Let's start with the driving experience, shall we? We know that this thing is packed with party tricks and toys on deck, but what's it actually like to drive? What's it like at sea with all this stuff out back adding weight and potential complication? Well, actually, it's very refined. It feels heavy, it's not a sports boat, it's not a boat that you really want to throw around, but we've had, you know, relatively challenging conditions at times, heading upwind to a typical Solent chop, and actually it's dealt with it really well, especially considering how full the bow is. I was expecting it to slam more, I was expecting it to chuck a lot of spray over us, but actually those bulges that the glass is set into do a really good job of pushing spray away from the boat, even when, as we've had today, there's a stiff breeze blowing over the bow. So that has been very impressive. In terms of performance, well, we've got a pair of Volvo Penta D13 900 horsepower engines on traditional shaft drives. You can have 800 horsepower ones, but I don't imagine that is an option box that's going to be troubled by anybody really. And with these engines, it will top out at 30 knots and cruise anywhere, you know, highest speed from 20 to 25 knots, where you'd expect a range of probably around 250, maybe 300 nautical miles. Of course, if you drop it down to displacement speed, you should easily get double that, if not more. But we're now sitting at 20 knots and it feels really happy at that speed. It's not a boat that you want to sort of force to push on, just relax. Let it do its thing. Turns are, you know, the steering is relatively light, but it is not particularly exciting. There's not a huge amount of heel, and in fact, when you put some hard lock on, you get some resonance through the rudders. So it's really telling you, look mate, don't try and tune like a sports boat, that's not what I am. Put me in a straight line, I'll handle the sea okay, but just cruise. It's a cruiser, and it's very happy sitting at 25 knots all day long. Oh well, at least for about 300 nautical miles. What about the driving position? Well, it's not bad. There's no adjustment on this seat. It is a two-way bench, but there's no sliding effect. There's no bolster either, so this is the position really. It's just about okay in terms of closeness to the helm station. The fact they've got the throttles on a plinth, that's good because it means I can sit back and reach them. The wheel, I just want it a touch closer to me if I'm being really picky, but it's not too bad. It does adjust up and down as well, so if you were to stand, you could tilt the wheel up towards you to make it easier to grab hold of. A pair of Raymarine MFDs handling navigation, instrumentation, and you've got Galeon's own software as well, which has got all the control of the ship system, so you can flick through all of that digitally as well and keep oversight of everything. Volvo Penta screen, and then your bow and stern thrusters, all the usual stuff. It's very clean, it's modern, it's all very easy to use. Yeah, it's a nice driving position. You haven't got massive protection here. There's actually more protection from this hub than there is from the windscreen. The windscreen is quite low, so you do take a bit of a battering from the breeze when you're going upwind. But of course, the benefit of a Flybridge design like this one is if you don't like the winds, you can drive from downstairs. So let's head down there and see what it's like. Well, it's much more serene down here, as you might expect. We're cruising along at the 20 knot cruising speed, probably a little bit below what the sort of peak cruising speed would be, but sound levels are pinned at 70 decibels, which is really, really quiet, you know, considering on a planing boat, but a couple of big engines churning away down there. But it's very easy to make conversation with people on the other side of the saloon, even when you're travelling along at this speed. In terms of the actual driving position, we've got a double bench here that slides fore and aft. It hasn't got a bolster function, but if you slide it right back, then there is space to stand up, and stand up quite comfortably. Someone that's 6 foot tall can stand up and still have a very good view forward. I've got a bit of trim tab engaged down here. I didn't use them at all upstairs, but it's actually more to do with the seating at the front than the actual level of the trim. She actually runs really, really nicely through the water, but I've just found trimming it down a bit just gives me that better view over the bow, especially on to sit back in the seat. But yeah, nice to have a two-person bench so somebody else can come and join you on a voyage like this one. In terms of the dash arrangement, it's incredibly clean. Nearly everything is contained within the MFDs, whether it be charting, the controls of lighting throughout the boat, and all of your engine information. But you have got some hard switches down here for things like the wipers, bilge pumps, and those things that you're going to be using regularly. There's also a screen down here for the Seakeeper, and we've got the Volvo Penta engine control screen as well. Personally, I'd probably like to see those switched round because you don't really need to see the Seakeeper screen all that often. It's fine if that's flush. Having the Volvo screen tilted towards you, which has got all your engine information on it, would for me be a bit more useful. And we're going to talk about this windscreen. It's incredible. One piece, vast piece of glass delivering a fantastic view forward, but of course the downside of that is you do get these big mullions, so there is quite a blind spot coming from the starboard side. So you do find yourself using this quarter light, which they've put in for a reason, and it goes a long way forward, so you can just tuck your head to the right and look round it. And of course we've got the side door as well, one of the many reasons why I think this boat is such a good owner-operator option. We'll get into that in more detail when it comes to the crewing and the mooring side of things. But yeah, this is a really comfortable, refined, serene place to cover these hard yards on. I mean, we could up the speed a little bit. You know, she'll top out closer to 30 knots, so you could cruise, you know, 22, 25 quite comfortably as well. I'm just upping the revs now, and there isn't much of a difference in terms of running attitude or in the volume from the engines, so really you can cruise wherever you fancy depending on how much of a hurry you're in. And of course if you drop back to displacement speed, you're going to begin to get the benefit of the Seakeeper if you just want to trickle along and you're not in a huge rush and you want the engines to be even quieter. The all-round view is very good. I mean, all of the glass we've got in this saloon, obviously it's fantastic in terms of living space, but it's also great from a driving point of view because the view is excellent. Looking back over my shoulder, I can see aft really easily. There are no blind spots down there, and also because this is all glass and I've got this nice double window here, even with the door closed, I can look over my shoulder and I can do a hard turn to starboard knowing that there's nothing coming along on my starboard side. So yeah, it's a really good space. But before we get on to what it's like to handle at slow speed and mooring and crewing, we need to drop the anchor and transfer it into beach mode. Well, there's only one way to start the tour of a Galeon, and that is of course putting it into beach club mode, and I'm going to show you exactly what is involved in that process. We'll put one balcony down already just to save a bit of time, but I'll show you what it takes to do this one, and you can see how long the whole process might take. So this is just a push button jobby. However, it does take a while. It takes about a minute for these platforms to go fully down, but there are some nice things to talk about while they're doing it. A, they've got boarding gates in both sides now, so when they're up you can walk through them, which is really nice. And they've also put glass in them in this model, which is lovely. Nice effect. When you walk over them you can see the water through the bottom of the deck, which is quite a nice effect. It does take a while though. Next up we have the stanchions that hold the rope for a bit of protection. Now these all store in a bag, which we actually put in the crew cabin. You could stow them a bit closer, I suppose, but this is probably the most laborious part of the whole process. Putting the platforms down doesn't take too long, but it's slotting these in that takes a little bit of time. And then you've got to wrestle with the rope as well, but we'll get to that. Obviously, if there's two of you doing it, then you'd hope it would take half the time. But these quite simply slot into the deck and then twist and lock. Right, that's the stanchions. Next thing is the rope. So, again, I suspect this is a job that would be easier with two people doing it. A lot easier if I'd done a better job of lining this out. There we go. We want it to be able to run smoothly through here. Well, there we go. That's the rope in place. Now that's the first time I've ever done that, so no doubt a bit clunky. It is a bit of a faff. If they could engineer a way for those stanchions to pop up with the ropes inside like you get on a passerelle, that really would move things to the next level. But let's be honest, I don't imagine people are going to bother putting those up every single time. However, they add some safety, they look quite nice as well, and we are not done. There's yet more to do to create beach clubs, so let's carry on. Next up, we will pop the bar up. So you slide this back. There's sliding doors on both sides. We'll do the other one in a second. And then we have the bar section, which just pops up from here. Should lock in place. Okay, that's secure. And now I can go and get the bar stools. It's quite good that Galeon make all their stainless steel in-house, because there's a hell of a lot of it on this boat. These stools are lovely. Again, we just stowed these in the crew cabin when we were going along, and then they should just, a bit of water in there obviously, slot in. There you have it. Bar in place. Now we've just got to do the other side. Actually, these cockpit doors are a big part of this process and what makes them so good, but they're great. Again, these are made in-house. Slide across. Obviously this is just like a normal door when you want to use it for access, and then they pivot in the middle, and they do a really good job of connecting these two areas. And there's one last final thing to do, which is to slide open this window like we have on the other side. So this just peels back. And this is nice. On the 500 Fly, which this boat is kind of inspired by, this was just a two-way bench. There's a lot more going on here. This actually works a lot better for inside use. You've got this nice double dinette here with the table in between. But when you want to utilise the balcony and move it outside, you can, oh, there's going to be a support for that. Yep, you can open that up. And then these pop down on both sides. Is that right back? Yep. Which means I can come outside, and then you have another great spot to perch. You've got the bar over there. You want to just relax a little bit closer to the water, looking out over the water with the table in between. This really is fabulous. And that is it. That is beach club mode activated. And this section, of course, you have the hydraulic bathing platform you can add into this. Drop that into the water with its integrated steps, and that gives you a lovely pathway down into the water. Now, of course, day to day you can open up some of this, all of this, do as much as you want. I imagine you won't be doing this very often, but I have to say they've been doing this for a long time. The effect when all of this is in place and open, it's truly class leading. Well, now you've seen what it takes to actually set it up in beach mode, let's look at the details a bit closer, because what's clever is other brands are doing this now. You know, the Fairline Squadron 58, that has balconies now. So Galeon are trying to stay one step ahead by doing things like adding this glazing here, and the effect when they're down and it's all set up is lovely, because I can see the water rushing away beneath my feet. I've already mentioned how they've changed this area that used to be just a two-way bench, and now you've got this fantastic two-way table and backrest that works indoors and outdoors. One thing you can't have is the rotating seating, the carousel as they call it, which is really nice, because it rotates. It can face in, it can face that way, or out over the back of the boat. But because this has got the crew cabin, you can't have that on the 560, so you're left with this relatively formulaic L-shaped seating arrangement. GRP tables, generally better to look after, easy to look after I should say, but you can have wooden ones if you prefer. And then we didn't really focus too much on the bar, having set it up, but this is a really great space. It works so well, and it connects brilliantly with the galley, and it's a huge space as well. There's a lovely amount of surface area here, both inside and outside, and you are just drawn to sitting here elevated, looking out over the water, but also being able to talk to the people on the other side of the saloon and also inside the galley. It's a 75,000 euro option to have beach club mode, but if you're even considering this boat, I imagine that is a box that you'll tick in your sleep. Right, let's look at the foredeck. There are a couple of steps up as you move towards the foredeck, and it may not surprise you that there's lots of quite interesting stuff going on up here as well. The layout is relatively familiar, lots of brands doing this with the walkway through here. There is glass down there, which is nice, pumping natural light down into the VIP cabin. We've already covered off the fact you've got a lovely big anchor locker. But what you can also do, they both do this, I'm just going to do the starboard one, is these backrests both pop up, so you can sit up and look forward and catch the sun that way if you want to, or you can pop that down And then we have this effect where this pops up, and then so does this. And it locks in place. And then you have a backrest facing this way, obviously the same over that side, so you can face into the boat as well. It's nice. Again, it's quite a simple design, but it makes so much more of this area. It just makes it that bit more usable. You've got some cup holders up here as well, and there is the option to have a canopy shade too. This boat's not got it, but you can have a canopy if you want some shade up here as well. But of course, there's yet more outdoor living space up there on the Flybridge. This is a big Flybridge for a 55-footer because you've got this nice big extension here, and there is no fixed furniture option for the aft end of this deck. It's either open space or they can supply you with the sun loungers, and they're nice because they've got these lovely branded Galeon cushions as well, which I think look really rather smart. You can also put them on top of each other and strap them down, so if you're doing a long passage and you're going to get some heavy weather, they're not going to roll around in this area. Then here we have the wet bar. A lot of this is optional, but if you fully spec it out, over here you get a grill. There's a top loading cooler here, which is always quite handy, and then you've got your sink down here. They've just got catches because they're also sort of designed to be handholds, but it means you have to pop catches to reveal the sink, for example. Over here, this one's actually fixed. That's not a lifting lid, that's just a solid handhold, and you've got the ice maker down here. So everything you need really to serve guests at this area over here. And that's good because you can serve a lot of guests up here. I like this split dinette arrangement. It's really flexible, and it means if you want to really serve a lot of people up here, you can open these up. They join together, and you've got two-way backrests. These are symmetrical, so on the helm seat as well, this pops down so you can sit, a big number of people around this table. Okay, they're gonna have to all shuffle out if you wanna get out when it's like this, but of course you can have one open, one closed, and of course when you're traveling, you have it like this, and you've got handholds as well. It's a really, really good bit of design. Now the hardtop is actually integral to the structure on board this boat, so you can't have it without it. What you can do though is have a sunroof if you prefer. Probably not necessary if you're going to keep the boat in the Mediterranean because it's going to be so warm, but in the UK you're going to want the sunshine on you as much as possible, so being able to open that roof would be a nice feature if you're keeping it in Northern Europe. Then we have this, as I said, two-way backrest, so you've got a nice double bench here so people can sit looking forward, but again they've upholstered that side, so if you do want to sit back but this way, put your feet up and look back into the boat, this is also a nice comfortable spot. Let's head inside. Now the really clever thing about this design is that all of that really fun stuff on the outside also improves life on the inside. I'll just show you how this works when you have it in indoor mode. So this folds back over, and then you simply pop up these backrests on both sides, and then you've got this nice little perch opposite the galley. Really nice and sociable, but again, because this window's so big, even if the weather's not good enough to have all this open, you've still got good views, great view out through the galley as well. Works very nicely. Now onto the galley itself. Probably see there's a lot of cooling space, big fridge here, another cooler here, and then a freezer at the bottom. That's a really good size, and look at the size of the sink as well. It's huge with this really rather natty sink cover plus chopping board. You have high-end cooking over here, and this is quite clever. They've put this in so you can get some ventilation, but again, this is really nicely detailed. It's leather handhold. It's in a good position as well to grab onto as you move through the boat. You've got some charging sockets up here, and you've got controls for the climate control throughout the boat, but that's the one for the main saloon. Again, very easily located. This boat's got a dishwasher fitted as well, tucked in on the end here. That's quite a clever use of space because you've got this nice return, so you may as well fill it with that, and there's more storage underneath those seats too. And you can, I don't know if you can hear on the mic, but there's a breeze ripping through today, so you wouldn't necessarily, certainly in Northern Europe, have to run the air conditioning all the time. This area opens up so well that you get a lot of very nice natural ventilation. Moving forward into the seating area, you've got this couple sofa over here. The TV pops up from behind it at the push of a button. Up that comes, and that is opposite this big internal dinette here. But this also drops down to convert into a double berth. So including that single skipper's cabin, you could sleep 8 people on board this boat if you wanted to. And again, glass is fantastic. When you're sitting in these seats, you've still got an excellent view out. The connection to the water on this main deck is absolutely outstanding. Couple of other things to mention about this area of the boat. This is called the Lati Grey wood. You can have it in matte or you can have it in gloss, and there are dark. In fact, there are lots and lots of different wood options. Customization is a big thing for Galeon. Considering this is a production yard, they will happily tweak small elements on board individual boats. Over here, before we head downstairs, there's a couple of really useful deep storage bins for putting the instrument covers, odds and ends, chart equipment, that sort of stuff. Very useful just to have those located right next to the helm. Okay, let's go downstairs and have a look at the accommodation. Now it's a 3-cabin, 2-bathroom arrangement on the lower deck of the 565, and we'll start in this starboard guest cabin, and this is where you first get a taste of the amazing use of glass on this boat. You've seen it from the outside, but the effect in here is pretty amazing, and it only gets better as we go through the interior. But you know, this is a really nice cabin. You saw headroom's pretty good on the way in. The berths are a little bit narrow, but they're long enough, and they actually slide together on a manual mechanism, so if you want to make a double you can. And as I said, you've got independent climate control in here, switching for the lighting up by the bed as well, which is always nice to see, and a big locker up here as well, so guests can hang their clothes up. They've also got their own television. Heading forward, we find the VIP cabin. And this is a really impressive space, and you really see the benefit of how far they've pushed this area out to the beam. You have those bulges that hold the windows, and you really get the benefit of that maximisation of the width right forward on the boat as well. You just don't expect to have so much space, so it's really easy to move around the bed and get up into bed. Note the bed is set quite low as well. You'd often expect VIP beds to be a little bit higher, more of a clamber to get into, but this feels like a master cabin arrangement. Lovely lighting and detail as well. I mentioned the sky hatches, so we've got 3 big hatches drawing yet more natural light. It has to be the brightest cabin in the class with these big windows on either side, but also very nice artificial lighting too. And the detailing is lovely throughout. Galeon are really good at this stuff. The fact you've got this stool that pops out here to connect to the bureau, or the door handles are magnetic catches, and they clunk shot really, really nicely. And when you open them, they hold on really sturdy magnets as well. And this is where you find the ensuite, the VIP, but also the day head. And would you look at that view? I don't think there's a bathroom in this sector where it's more important to have blinds, because there is such a huge amount of glass in this area, but the space is fabulous. Headroom is great. The marble finish probably isn't to all taste, but I think it looks lovely. There are different options, but all the bathroom wear is really nicely executed as well. The taps, the shower controls, this lovely pebble-shaped sink. You've got Tecmar electric toilets as well. It is finished to a very high standard, and the components are absolutely excellent. And that continues in the owner's cabin. The owner's cabin is amidships. Down here is an option. You can have a washer dryer that just tucks in this area here. Rather handy if you're going to be on board for a long time. This is where the owner's bathroom is. Again, it's got a huge portion of hull window. Would have been nice maybe to use a pocket door, so this door doesn't gobble up so much space. On something like the Absolute or Princess F55, these doors slide into the bulkhead, so they don't gobble up so much room. But the bathroom itself, again, beautifully executed. And into the cabin itself, a couple of steps down, but then once you're down, somebody who's 6 foot tall or just a bit taller can move around in this area, absolutely no problem at all. Again, the hull windows come into play. I always like to see some natural ventilation options as well. And in this, guys, there is masses of storage. These are standard, these wardrobes in the corner, but this is an option to have this huge storage area here, and it is just big old storage voids. Really handy for longer cruises, but you can have a sofa there if you preferred. As I said, they're quite flexible. If you want little bespoke details, Galeon will generally be quite open to that. Huge TV mounted in this cabin as well, which is always quite nice to see. More storage underneath, and I really like that spot over there, the sort of single bureau where you can do a bit of work, open the laptop, do your makeup, store jewellery. Again, taking in the benefit of the huge hull windows on either side. And just one more note about the lighting. Use of strip lighting overhead is lovely, but also this detail back here, it's really nice. It's not too much. You know, Galeons in the past could be a little bit chintzy, a little bit shiny. They've really toned it down. This is a very nice aura in here, and it's all aided by the fact that everything feels so high quality and so solid. Right, that's the guest accommodation. Let's head to the crew space and then check out the engine room. Access to the crew cabin and the engine room, in fact, is through this hatch in the transom. Now, I've talked a lot about this being an owner-operated boat, so you may say that a crew cabin on a boat like this is surplus to requirements. It's also 35,000 euros, so it's not a cheap option, but if you think you'll want occasional crew, or maybe the extra guest cabin for now and then, it's actually a pretty good space. There's just about headroom for somebody 6 foot tall to stand up in this area. Anyway, single berth down there, the fridge is over here and there's good storage around that too, and obviously you have a small galley area over here with a decent swathe of top and a sink and some storage underneath. Natural light is decent as well, because there's this strip of window along the transom, and there's a separate wet room over there too with a shower and a toilet and a sink. You can probably pick up some whirring though on the microphone. That's because the seakeeper is down here, which isn't great for the occupant, because if you're sleeping on anchor, that's probably going to be running, so you're going to have that next to your head all night long. And also access, not brilliant. You have this inspection panel, but then you have to remove these with screws in on both sides to get better access. If you want to remove it completely, that's going to be quite tricky. However, access to the other machinery parts is really quite good, as we'll find out as we go into the engine room. It's actually quite rare to have direct access to a machinery space from the crew cabin on a boat of this size. Once you're inside, headroom does drop. I'm kneeling here as you can see, and it is stooping room throughout. But actually, the space itself is very good, and the level of engineering is also very good, because we've got some big components in here. It's got a 20 kilowatt optional generator. Obviously, these D13s are not small lumps either, but there's good space around both sides of them. Very easy to do the daily checks too. It's really well lit. Access to the fuel tanks on both sides. It's very easy to get to the fuel filters. Everything is very neat as well. All the pipe work, all the wiring, all trunked up nice and neatly and labelled so you know what everything is. You'll probably also have spotted the ladder on the way in as well. Well, that's direct access to the cockpit, meaning it's sea. You don't have to come in through the transom if you don't want to. Yeah, it's a good space. But now, I think it's time to fire these back up, head into the marina and see what she's like at slow speed. It's proved a pretty easy boat to crew today. We're only a two-man crew. I've been doing the lines and the fenders, and it's very easy to move around. There isn't any storage really back here for fenders. There's a slot down there where you might have to put some lines, but really you're going to rely on the anchor locker and the crew cabin. Now the anchor locker is a really good size. It's huge, but there's nowhere to tie the end of the fenders. So you drop them down there, you're going to have to go all the way in to pick them out again. So that's a bit of an oversight. So we've just been putting them in the crew cabin. And that's a good point about the crew cabin. You can have it as storage, obviously. It costs to have it as a crew cabin, but you can still use it for storage for fenders. It's finished in a way where you don't mind chucking fenders and lines down there, and it's really easy to move down there on the bathing platform, chuck everything away, close the door, and it's all nice and tidy. Right, let's get into the berth. This boat is available with a shaft drive joystick. This particular boat hasn't got that, so as we move down the fairway towards the berth now, I'm just working the throttles in and out of gear. I've got proportional Sleipner bow and stern thrusters as well, and obviously being shaft drives, there's a huge amount of control and bite, so every little input you get a nice reaction from it, and it's very slow, very controlled, very easy. And of course I could do this from up at the Flybridge, but it says a lot about this lower helm position that I've chosen to do it down here. And part of that is because of having the side door, which is one of those things, as I said, out at sea, that just makes it so much better for an owner-operator. I can communicate with Bruce, who's doing the lines, really easily, and then if I need to, I can hop out onto deck and even help out with that process if I need to. That said, it would be nice to have the boarding gate slightly closer because it's right at the back, but you can't have everything. But days gone by, older Flybridge boats, you would not have chosen to do the mooring from down here, but that's how much these helm positions have come on in the last few years. And now it's just a case of spinning her around and guiding her back. What I can't see from this position, or from the Flybridge for that matter, is the bathing platform. So a camera in the Raymarine suite would be really helpful, just positioned over the stern, so I can check my proximity to the pontoon at the stern, fine down the side because I can spot it over my shoulder here. But yeah, that's the only thing, hence why I've got Bruce at the back telling me how close I am. These thrusters are so quiet these days. I don't even feel an ounce of shame using them in a quiet marina. If you've got them, use them.
I'll go back and tighten
There we go, that's us in. The starting price for the 560 Fly with the smaller engines is around 1.28 million euros excluding VAT. But our test boat was specified to a very high standard, with all of the key cost options ticked, including the engine upgrade, beach mode, a Seakeeper 9 gyroscopic stabiliser, the crew cabin, hydraulic bathing platform, proportional bow and stern thrusters, the air conditioning upgrade, the upgraded 20.5 kilowatt generator, a hydraulic box passerelle, and 3 Raymarine Axiom XL MFDs. The prices tested was just under 2.2 million euros excluding VAT. There is a scaled down super yacht feel to the 560 Fly. All of the clever stuff that it does down on the main deck really do add to the feeling of luxury, and you feel like you're getting more boat than you are, mainly because, yeah, you are. You fold those balconies down and suddenly you have so much more room to enjoy. But it isn't just that. It is the way that they've integrated the saloon and the cockpit to make this wonderful indoor, outdoor living space. It isn't as good to drive as a lot of its rivals from the UK and Italy, but when it comes to living on board and that owner-operator element that I've been talking about throughout this video, I still think it's towards the very top of the pack. But let me know, what do you think when it comes to 55 to 60 foot Flybridge boats? Which one would you go for? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching that sea trial and review of the Galeon 560 Fly. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give the video a like. And if you want to watch our review of one of this boat's direct rivals, the Fairline Squadron 58, I'll put that in a box for you up there. More of our Galeon sea trials down here, and if you would like to subscribe to the channel, you could do that by clicking up here. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.